Cleveland. Stephen A., which team is the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC this season?
I think it's the Commanders, me personally, because of what we talked about with the Rams and Stafford and his health. I'm not sold on Jordan Love, not his ability. I have no questions about his ability. It's his consistency, that it factor in the moment when you need him to. When you're going up against the Eagles, can you play better? Can you avoid throwing 3 interceptions? Jared Goff, same thing with him. I know what he did. He had an outstanding year last year, but obviously was less than great in the playoffs. It didn't help to get about 13 dudes injured and stuff. Got all of that. But when I look at Jayden Daniels and I think about the NFC East and how that competition is and how they got shellacked in the NFC Championship game, with the improvements that we expect in this squad, with the improvement in him, I think that's the way to go. I love
how I'm like, happy birthday, Jen. Let's go for the jugular. Who's going to take your team down? Go ahead, Woody.
My pick, I may have to throw an addendum on my pick because I picked the Rams. I just think that the Rams, obviously Stafford dealing with the back situation is something the Bears watching, but when you look at the Rams in its totality, the running game, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua line, maybe the best young defensive front in football over there with the Rams. So when I look at them, that's my biggest
Just the major concern, of course, the back that we talked about, Mina. What do you have?
I'm sticking with the Detroit Lions. Understand the loss of coordinators hurts. Didn't lose Jahmyr Gibbs. Didn't lose Amon-Ra St. Brown. Didn't lose Sam Laporta. Yeah. And then defensively, this is the best defense of the 3 teams we've talked about. This is the most injured defense in football last year. You get back Aiden Hutchinson. You've added reinforcements at all 3 levels. I think this defense will compensate for any offensive aggression. To me, of the 3 teams we discussed, the Lions are the most balanced team. You got to, on both sides of the ball, the best.
Okay.
Guys, party's almost over.
Well, first of all, it's not the party's not over.
Yeah, you're about to catch
just a break until tomorrow.
Yep.
We're going to be at the NABJ in Cleveland. We're going to do our thing among.
Are you going to wear your watch, or are you going to leave that at home?
Excuse me?
What watch? Wear your watch.
What watch?
To inspire the students, your watch.
Well,
it's still cold in here.
See what
that's why
it's
still cold
in here.
Today.
If the students
about this Philadelphia team going into the season, and he looked us dead in the face and said, I don't really have any. The team hasn't changed that much. It's always championship or bust in Philadelphia. So it seems like the fans are feeling confident about this team. But what questions do you have as they try to go back and run back a Super Bowl title?
Well, my only questions with them is what I know best, my forte, which is the secondary. Because they lost, 2 starters in their secondary. They obviously lost Darius Slay, who's been a prime, great #1 corner for them for a lot of years. Obviously, Quinyon Mitchell took that spot over, but there's a corner spot that they're competing for. Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, a guy I played with. I think Adoree Jackson's going to come out and win that position. He's a very good player, and he plays his best in big games as well. And then they lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Obviously a big attitude, a big flair for them in the back end, and they wanted to move on from that. So to lose 2 of your secondary members, you're going to lose people when you win a Super Bowl. People are going to get paid. You can't retain everybody. But that's the one position group where I saw the most loss. They have a tough schedule this year. So obviously most Super Bowl champions do, but just how it's matched up. The Commanders are good. I think the Cowboys will be better. And I think the Giants got better. So their division got better, and that's been a hard division to win multiple years in a row as we see the history of the NFC East. Their schedule's not easy, and they lost some starters in the secondary that they're trying to replace. But offensively, they pretty much retain everybody. Their stars are coming back, and I think they have a really good mindset to try to repeat. I think Saquon Barkley extremely humble. Jalen Hurts, his demeanor. A.J. Brown is at a whole different level of maturation than when I played with him in the Tennessee Titans. He seems like he understands what it's about. And everywhere Devontae Smith goes since a kid, all he does is win championships. So I think they have a lot of people that can handle the pressure that's going to be on them this year. But it's a whole different animal when you're trying to repeat than win it the first time.
There's a reason why it does not happen very often, and as we know, they're going to set the tone week 1 against my Dallas Cowboys on September 4th. Tonight's game, though, at 7:30 against Cincinnati. Before we let you go, Logan, it smells kind of Interesting in here. I know you were fired up yesterday about those smelling salts being banned in the NFL. We do have some clarification. The NFLPA put out a statement yesterday. It reads in part, quote, "To clarify, this policy does not prohibit player use of these substances, but rather it restricts clubs from providing or supplying them in any form." Yesterday, you were talking about players sneaking in smelling salts to make sure that it is still a part of their ritual. How are you feeling now that we know that smelling salts will not be going anywhere? And just kind of walk us through why that particular part of the game got so many people fired up yesterday.
Well, listen, I'm elated because honestly, I think I might have avoided a fine here. I was saying that players are going to bring the smelling salts on the field regardless, legally or illegally, because they're going to make it on the field. Players need their smelling salts. So it looks like now they can just buy it their own, so George Kittle can just back the Brinks truck of smelling salts for the team, which he'll do. But they just become a staple. You see all these star players, all the players in general, it's just how you get your mind right before every series. Football is an extremely violent game. That smelling salt wakes you up. It brings you in the moment. And it has just become synonymous with high-level football. It is, I compared it to MLB players having chewing tobacco, having dip, having bubble gum, having sunflower seeds at the game. You're not going to see the MLB take that away from the players. They have it up when they're at bat. You know, so I know that the NFL players use these smelling salts all the time. There's no real harm in them that I've seen, and I haven't seen anyone use them to mask concussions. So I thought, you know, the motive of banning them was off, but now I think we saw a little of them treading back on the line or clarifying what they really meant. But smelling salts will be on the field. We will have an NFL season. I could see some players boycotting, Kittle particularly if they couldn't. So I'm happy that I'm not going to get a fine now from the NFL, and the players can go about their business.
Two things. Chewing tobacco is banned in baseball, and also I looked up the cost of smelling salts. Smelling salts you can get on Amazon anywhere from $20. They go all the way up to $70, depending on how much you want to buy. George Kittle is making an average annual value of $19.1 million, so I'm sure he can provide everyone with smelling salts along the way. Logan, we are so excited for the season to start, only 28 days away, and we will see you in the booth week 2 out in New Orleans, so enjoy your Thursday Night Football is finally back. Today we get our second round of preseason action with a trio of games kicking off across the league. It'll be all eyes on the quarterback competition in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson's going to get the start for the Colts. Shane Steichen's saying he'll get about a quarter and a half before Daniel Jones steps in, but of course Richardson facing a lot of pressure after 2 lackluster seasons. That one coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern against the Ravens, and you can expect to see a lot of starters as well in Cincinnati as they get their action going against the defending champion Eagles, 7:30 Eastern. And you got to stay up late to watch the Raiders versus the Seahawks. It's Pete Carroll's first game back on the sidelines as he takes on his former team. It's a 10 o'clock Eastern kickoff from Seattle for that game. Well, you can find him in a booth this season for CBS. Our 2-time Super Bowl champion Logan Ryan joining the program as we look ahead to some football tonight. Logan, we're in sync with our outfits. Let's see if we're in sync here when it comes to some of those headlines. And we're going to start at Lumen Field, where Pete Carroll, I mentioned it, is going to make his debut as the Raiders head coach in a place where he made a name for himself. And one of the first big decisions, Logan, he made back in 2012 was deciding on a starting quarterback. Now, stick with me here. I'm going to take you through story time, but it's very important. So prior to that 2012 season, the team, of course, locked up their quarterback, Matt Flynn, at the time as the starter. He earned a 3-year extension. It was worth about $26 million, if you can believe it. If you look at what the Seahawks did this offseason, Logan, they signed Sam Darnold to a 3-year deal worth $105.5 million. So now we go back to 2012, where the Seahawks also drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. He went on to impress at camp before earning the starting job and eventually winning a Super Bowl. And that's kind of what we're kind of starting to see when it comes to the Seahawks quarterback room. 2025, a 3rd-round rookie, turning heads a little bit. I'm not saying that Jalen Milroe is going to get the start over Sam Darnold. But, Logan, when you look at the history of the Seahawks, when you look at how he's impressed at camp, what are you expecting for him in this preseason game?
Well, Haley, first off, I see what you try to do there and bring a decade apart.
Try to bring it full
put it all together. Right. You know what? This is very important. This is very important for Jayden Milroe. This is very important for Drew Lock. This is what the preseason is about, developing your depth. And you know that depth gets tested in every NFL season for every team. And it takes depth to make it all the way to the playoffs. It takes that to win a Super Bowl. And this means a lot for these guys, especially Jayden Milroe. And you got to look, when they sign a Sam Darnold, he doesn't have the best mobility. And he can tend to take sacks if things aren't on time or done perfectly, or he tend to hold the ball at times under pressure. So you have to anticipate Sam Darnold getting beat up during a season, especially the first year in a new offense, the first year for a new team. There might be some bumps in the road. So this backup quarterback, whoever wins this job, and it's looking like Jayden Milroe is impressing early, he might get some playing time this year due to injury of Sam Darnold. You're not hoping that on any player, but you got to see the lack of mobility here. And you look at these contracts signed, Sam Darnold earned himself another year. You know, that $100 million is not fully guaranteed, and that does not mean that's a full 3-year deal. So he's earned his ability to be a starter at a new team. Obviously, Minnesota did not want to retain him, but Seattle hopped in and does that. But you got to look at Jayden Milroe as the potential future of the Seahawks. Sam Darnold might be this year, maybe another one. He's got to keep earning it, improving it, obviously, with the end of last year. And he's done a good job, and I'm happy for Sam Darnold. He's a former teammate of mine. But he's got to continue to earn it past this year, because Jayden Milroe looks like we set up to be the future successor there. I think Sam Darnold knows that.
All right, so the seat might be getting a little hot as the year goes on for Darnold.